Hello. Hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. Here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. Um, this is doing something different. The live experience is different than um, what it normally is. I don't know what's happening, but I guess YouTube changed something, and here we are. Anyway, I'm like, it looks so different. I don't know why. But hello. I'm Mika. This is Leap Taken. There we go. This is so weird. Huh. I'm just trying to figure something out. I don't know. Yeah, it's just different. I don't know. I'm just going to move on anyway. No, I don't think anyone's here yet. I can't tell, so it doesn't matter because this is being weird. But assuming people watch this on a replay, I'm going to just go ahead and get right into it. So let me go ahead and fix these screens so I'm not looking off to the side. Hello. Um, Hi. Hi, Michelle. I didn't. This is what I was going to talk about last week, and I got a little hiccup with the mail, but I finally got it. The Seasons of the Witch Oracle for Letha Oracle. If you've seen any of my other witchy reviews, I have purchased every one that they've come out with. At this point, I'm a collector. I like to collect these cards. I kind of love Lorraine Anderson. And Julia Diaz. They made these cards. They didn't do the illustrations. That's someone else. I think her name is Tajana Lukovic. Um, yeah, I looked it up. So let's get into these cards. So first of all, the purple is everything. So you have that gilded siding where it's purple. This is what the cards look like on the back. If you can see that, okay. I kind of love these cards. And like this is what you're getting. So I'll just do a quick flip through so you can see. Um, oh, before I get to the cards, let me show you the book. So the book that comes with it, it's color, which kind of is a thing for me. I love that. That when it's in color. So yeah. Um, the other thing that I wanted to point out, and it's beautiful images you'll see momentarily. The other thing that I wanted to point out about these cards, and I talked about it with my coven sisters, is that, hear me out. If you have had the previous Oracle cards, it's a nice deal on Amazon. It is a nice deal on Amazon right now too. Yeah, and I love them. I love these cards. These feel a little thinner than the other ones, but I don't want to argue about that. I'm still going to buy them. It doesn't matter. But anyway, when I look at the cards, if you look at the bottom, and I know the light is kind of making it tough, but it says, "It is in the stillness and the presence of the journey that you will find yourself exactly where you need to be." This is bike ride. Now, in the past, if you have like the Yule cards, that's one for sure. It was so cryptic. The quotes, sometimes you got it because you could feel the energy and look at the image and you could get it. Other times you needed the book. Like otherwise you weren't gonna understand what the intentions were with the card. Like you can just, make your own intentions, but I'm just saying I don't know if they've listened to people and they decided, hey, you know what? We're going to go ahead and give a little bit, make it less cryptic. I mean, poetry's fine. I'm okay with that. But if I don't understand it, then doesn't matter. You almost have to memorize the meanings from the book on some of the oracle cards. Doesn't stop me because I still use them. But just to give you an idea, bike ride. The keywords are unhurried, enjoying the moment, the long way home. So they talked about stillness and stuff like that. And there's a lot of verbiage here, but I'm just going to skip ahead. It says, pulling this card is your sign to embrace this kind of day. It will appear when you are rushing through life without being present for it. You may recognize the symptoms of moving too fast, feeling anxious, doing a lot, but accomplishing very little, a lack of focus, and getting a lot um, Oh, I lost my place. Getting lost in daydreams, feelings of doubt or confusion about the future, or a deep desire to do nothing. These feelings aren't manifestations of laziness or lack of motivation. They are reminders there is more to life than work and checking off another item on your to do list. And then there's a section here talking about presence practice. This practice will bring you back to presence, allowing you to pull yourself in and be in the moment. Close your eyes for a moment. Take 4 slow, deep breaths. With each breath, you're going to focus on your senses. With your first breath, focus on feeling, and it goes on. With your second, you focus on sound. With your third, you focus on sight. And with your last breath, you focus on combining feeling, sound, and sight and creating an experience. So I mean, I think that's really good. But my point is, it's gotten a little bit more descriptive, which I appreciate because it was a little rough on some of those cards. Like, what is this card supposed to mean? And it's obvious, it's very inclusive. This is butterflies, Cancer. Try not to get too much of a shine on it. Citrus fruits, clear quartz. I love these images. I love the cards. I love the art. Um, the meanings I like to cloud scrying. They're just so pretty. Country cottage. Is that one card? I think there's two stuck together. Yeah, there was. Daisies. Farmer's market. Honestly, I just think abundance. So remember to distinguish abundance from wholeness. Choose wisely and intentionally. Oh, that's the message. Fruit wine. Garden bed. Sometimes it's difficult to see how hard you're working when you don't provide space for reflection. Ooh, garden beds. Green witch. No one decision is insignificant. The act of intentionality calls to you. I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. Hanging baskets. Look at this. I just think this is such a pleasant looking card. Heather. Heat wave. Well, I know about that. There is something ominous being illuminated by the flames that await. Ooh, this is an ominous type of card for sure. Heirloom tomatoes. Herb crafting. Horse. Why do we say herb instead of herb when we say horse? Have you ever? And then when I hear the people over in like you're basically, well, this is this is ZZ argument as well. I just feel like sometimes maybe we should have changed the pronunciation. I want to say herbal. I want to say herb, but apparently, if I say that here in America, I sound like the H is supposed to be silent. But is it? Is that real? Hydration. These are my thoughts, my Friday thoughts. Insects. Lemonade. Ooh, make the most of your situation by opening your mind to new possibilities. Now, you will probably get that off of this card. We think of lemonade, you think, make lemons into lemonade. So, right? And then we have light. Ooh, gonna slow down. Light worker. The transmutation of shadow is needed when seeking the light that guides you. You might want to look up that one a little bit more, but mermaid is beautiful. Let the allure of the mythical siren seduce your curiosity. Magic awaits. I'm kind of in love with these cards. Money magic. Ooh, it is in limiting beliefs that magic goes to die. Limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs can be the bane of the witch's existence, especially the witch who has been practicing for a short period of time or the witch who has been practicing for quite some time. But I'll fix that. But you just kind of fell out of it. I recently mulch and manure. I like this. Wait, this says hardships are coming to an end. The seeds you sowed will be blooming soon. Well, that's a positive card to get. And my this past Wednesday's video, I talked about kind of an arena of limiting beliefs, but I called it the for the lazy witches. I see it wasn't received well by everyone, but my intention was to just remind you, you can, whatever you put in it is what you get out of it. And we don't all do things the same. So when I'm talking about energy and things like that, you have to think about it like this. Your energy is not how I even bring drum up energy for my spells. How I even approach that is different from you, and vice versa. So it's all subjective. So if energy for you is just thinking about the day of the week that you want to do the spell, or even thinking about doing a spell and thinking about how you're going to put it together and just giving it that forethought. If it's making sure you have something stocked up for those times when you know you might not have physical energy to carry out things. I am someone who dealt with chronic illness. It is relation to my reproductive health issues that I've had. I have been dealing with my adult life. There is a good week out of the month that I can barely function. Like, I mean, leave my bed. It has made it difficult to keep a job, to work like a physical in-person type job. So working from home has been really helpful for me over the years. And then not having to work outside the home at all has been super helpful as well. But it affects my life as far as business as well, because I may not have the energy. I have tried to do non-surgical things, herbs, tea blend, all this sort of stuff. I took hormonal birth control to help. That was helpful, but that had a heck of a side effect that I had to deal with, and I'm still trying to recover from that. So I've had to remove myself off of medication, and this is just to function. So I'm familiar with chronic illness, and I deal with it every month, and it is not anything that is something that is slight. There are times I can't perform rituals, I can't do things. I am a high priestess of a coven. So it kind of matters if I show up. Sometimes I don't have it. I also have low iron because of these issues. So I'm familiar with chronic illness, because that is a chronic illness, dealing with that. So what I speak from, what I know. As far as mental health challenges, yes, I've experienced that. Mostly tied to the hormonal issues from the hormone issues that I was having, as far as using what is called birth control pills, but I wasn't using it for that purpose. I was using it to manage my health. Um, I've had issues from that. Then I'm also perimenopausal, and that's affecting my hormones as well. So yeah, it definitely affects my heart. So it brings on mental health issues. If anybody doesn't tell you that, it's not that you're going crazy. By the way, once you get to a certain point, I'm not even in menopause. This is the pausal portion, but it is a ride. It is a ride, and I'm just trying to understand why the previous generation just hasn't talked about it. And it's I always heard about the change, but this is just interesting. In this process for African American women, we typically experience, and this is scientifically proven, my doctor confirmed this as well, we typically enter into perimenopausal a little sooner than others, and it lasts longer. So that's a fun fact, and that's not fun. So along with that is the stuff you hear about, like with the sweating, night sweating, just feeling hot all the time, and then like mood changes and stuff like that. But people say mood changes like it's nothing. It's drastic at times. My witchcraft is my saving grace, is the thing that helps me, because excuse me, I don't always feel like that, and when I don't, I make certain things to help me during those times, or to just help myself. So I already anoint candles, so all I have to do is light it and just say something. No, it is, you're right, it's no joke at all. And I do those things in advance. Also, because I put so much energy into my magic and into my magical lifestyle, because it's spirituality, whatever you want to call it, um, for those times where there's low energy from me, so I can only give so much into something, I've already my tools are enchanted. My home, I'm a cottage witch, so my home is a living, breathing altar in my mind. So I will call on house spirits. I will call on certain deities. I'll call on my ancestors. I'll call on, I'm looking over at the altar and for the various fairies and elementals that are in and around my home to offer help when I'm down. So yeah, but because I to be a witch to me is to be prepared or to know how to access resources when you're not. So when you're feeling good, when you're feeling neutral, or okay, you have a little bit more energy, do the work ahead of time, do the prep work so you always have things ready to go. I don't think that's a crazy concept. I'm just trying to say don't expect to put minimal energy into your practice and expect bigger results, that like it's what you put into it. But isn't that the case with anything though? Anyway, I just wanted to explain that. So I'm in love with this, The Seasons of the Witch, Letha Oracle. I love this one. I love the direction they've been going in. I love the artwork. I like the meanings. This will be in full effect in my life. And here's the thing, I like to use this during the season, but I'll dip into the cards, even if it's like Samhain. I might pull into it because I feel like that's the energy I need to connect with. So I'll still use those cards, even if it's not in this season, so to speak. I mean, that's not right. It's like with anything, you go by what you want. So this is from my library book haul. So I finally finished reading this book, Make Your Own Magic. This is actually recently, yeah, this is a fairly recently in print book. Works by Amanda Lovelace, The Women Who Are Some Kind of Magic Poetry series, The Things That Haunt Poetry. Oh, she does a lot of poetry. Okay. The You Are Your Own Fairy Tale Poetry Trilogy, Cozy Witch Tarot. Oh, she does the Cozy Witch Tarot. I'm looking over, it's on my other desk. I'm like, why do I recognize this woman's name? I didn't even make the connection. And I love that deck. The Cozy Witch Tarot, love that deck. Your Magical Journal, a place for self-reflection, spell work, and make your own magic. So these are her other works. So Make Your Own Magic, A Beginner's Guide to Self-Empowering Witchcraft. This, A Beginner's Guide, is definitely a Witchy 101 book, but I like it. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why I think this might be one of the better, because of the times that we're in and people's attention span, and this is not a negative, me too. You have it on your altar right now. Mine is on my altar too. I didn't know she had a book. I know, right? She has this book. I think sometimes, even if you've been practicing for a while, I have different reasons other than what I'm about to tell you, but I think it's good to get reacquainted sometimes with the basics. It can kind of put like a little zest into your practice, just kind of remembering, because it takes you to when you were starting. Now, I wouldn't say you have to read this kind of stuff all the time, but if you haven't read a 101, like a beginner's book on witchcraft lately, this might be a good one because you'll be able to tolerate it. And when I mean tolerate it, if you have some knowledge of witchcraft, it's hard to read these books because you're like, all right, I know, and you skip over. But hear me out. She keeps it short and concise. This is not a long book. It's not even 200 pages. Yeah, it's just about 200 pages, just over 200 pages. She does such a great job. I was able to really review this book. I made my notes. I made my notes because she kept it so tight with the descriptions. Like, you got what you needed to get. I don't feel she didn't go on and it felt like you were wasting your time. She also gave journal prompts, which I love as well. She clears up the basics that I think are important. Um, Starting a practice in witchcraft, she jumps in. So, what makes a witch? I love this section. It's short and sweet, but she's right and it's to the point. Can I be a witch? Short answer, yes. Slightly longer answer, absolutely. Everyone has the potential to make their own magic. Whether or not you choose to call yourself a witch is entirely up to you. Perfect, perfect, perfect. We're not going to go back and forth. We're not going to create a whole chapter on this. She said what she said, and it was on point, and I like that. But this is just like in the basic section. And then she breaks down on which something, of course, I know, and you probably know if you're watching this, on witches, pagans, and Wiccans. Not a lot of people talk about this now. It was more, I don't see this so much in a lot of the newer, like beginner witchcraft books, but she brought this back, and I think it's important because people get confused on to be a witch. Is that to be pagan? Is that to be pagan? Is that to be a witch? If I say I'm Wiccan, does that mean I'm a witch? You know, that whole thing. So she breaks that down. So all Wiccans are pagans. um, not all pagans are Wiccan. Not all pagans and Wiccans are witches, and anyone can be a witch. So I like that. I like that she talks about that. I think we need to bring that back because I think people get confused. She jumps into setting up a magical journal immediately because this woman is giving journal prompts, which I love. So let's get into the first one because this is kind of how I have my notes. So she's going to tell you to start a journal. Hey, Joey PK, how you doing? She's going to tell you to start a journal, which you should, the first thing I'm going to tell you too, start a journal. I'm going to take it even further, start multiple journals. No, start one to begin with. Don't go crazy. Anyway, I mean, unless you want to. Welcome to my side of things. But she tells you, think about the magical journal that lies ahead. What are you most excited about? What are you most afraid of? I think that's worth asking too. People don't think about that sort of stuff, but let it all out. Mark this entry and make sure to come back to it at some point in the future so you can just see how far you've come. So it goes on like that. And she's kind of taking you along at having you ask yourself questions so you can, what is the word I'm looking for? So that you can kind of do a pulse check, and you'll have a written log of this in your magical journal. So then she talks about not being accepted. I think that's important. And she even references the term about being out of the broom closet. I use that term all the time. And she pointed out something I hadn't thought about. I'm going to read it here. She says, some people refer to concealing their witchy side from others for fear of judgment as being in the broom closet. I can't remember if I ever used this term in the past. For a long time, I never thought too deeply about this meaning. Neither did I. But I've decided I definitely won't going forward. This phrase is clearly a spin on the idea of being in a closet as a queer person. And speaking from my experiences with both, the two can't be equated, and I don't think it's appropriate to do so, though that's just one witch's opinion. Feel free to write about your thoughts about this in your magical journal. And this got me to think, and that's why it's good to sometimes peek in with a 101 book, a beginner's book on witchcraft. I like this book, again, just want to reference. And I like a book that makes me think and challenges me. I have used that because it's something we've all heard, and I'm very comfortable using that term, in the broom closet. In my case, I'm out of the broom closet. I've never thought too hard about it, but now that she's said it, no, it is not the same as coming out if you're a queer person. So I don't know if I'll continue to say that. So now I'm trying to think, how else would I want to relay that without going in the whole thing on that I want to say an out and proud witch, but I feel like I'm tapping into the same language of out of the broom closet. And now I can't figure out how to say that. I'm a proud witch. I'm public with my witchcraft. Should I say that? Yeah. I'm very public about being a practicing witch. I guess I could say that instead of I'm out of the broom closet. But I like being challenged. I hadn't thought about it like that. And it's not, I don't think it's bad in the end of the world that I have said it, and if I say it in the future, because I'm so used to saying it. But I like, you know, thinking things a little differently. I'm okay with that. Um, she goes into talking about your magical altar, and she talks about yes, setting up your magical tools and all that sort of stuff. And I did like that. Let's see here. When she talk about your magical tools, remember this is a beginner's book. Listen to this. So she's like, um, just start with the basics. Your magical journal, a writing utensil, sheets of scrap paper. These will have endless uses, including writing down affirmations, and in my case, I would say petitions. A white candle, considered to be the all purpose candle because the color white contains every color. Um, a lighter or matches, a candle snuffer. I don't know if that's necessary, but I like the idea of that. I have one to safely put out your candles. A candle wick trimmer. I have that too, to trim before each and every use. So then she says dried rosemary, considered by many to be the all purpose herb. I've heard that due to its myriad properties. I use a lot of rosemary in a lot of things I do, so that's not so bad. Okay, hold on. Who's. I'm being called. Let me make a stop. Anyhow, a clear quartz crystal, dried roses. I agree. Divination tools such as the tarot deck, oracle deck, and/or pendulum. A cauldron or fire safe dish. I agree. A bell, jars, cups, bowls of all shapes and sizes, drawstring pouches. Okay. Like jars, cups, and bowls, you can store herbs and ingredients in them, and many spells are even contained in them. So I like that. So the all purpose tools. I like that she kind of came back to that conversation as well, because some people don't. I didn't think. Again, I like books that make me think. I don't because I don't think that hard about it. But some people actually don't like the concept of all-purpose tools. So listen to this. You should be aware that there's been a lot of debate among witches whether or not all-purpose tools should be encouraged because, according to some, there are more specific and effective tools a witch could use instead. Personally, I believe that the intention a witch has when using their tools, as well as her own personal correspondences, are what truly matters when it comes down to it. I actually agree with that as well. And I use substitutions all the time. If I don't have something, I'm going to substitute it, and I'm not going to, I don't know. I believe in the all-purpose thing. I do. Let's see here. And then she talks about personal correspondences and about learning to set your own. Again, this is a beginner's witchcraft book, so that makes sense to have that conversation, but that's a good reminder as well. Now, she gives you, based on like colors, correspondences that goes with it, but she's encouraging you to think of your own. Write that down in your magical journal. She goes over same thing, flowers, herbs. Do you liking it to certain energies maybe that's not, resonating in books? Maybe you feel something different. And she gives you the same thing with crystals. Um, okay, I want to talk about this. She talks about disappearing crystals. I have experienced the disappearing crystals. I don't know if anyone else has experienced this. Well, if you've been practicing for a while and you've collected some crystals, have you noticed that sometimes they just disappear? You can't explain what happened. It just disappeared. The crystal is gone. And it doesn't make any sense because you haven't been someplace where that crystal should just disappear. Either it was somewhere in your house, maybe the car, but there's only so many locations it could be at, and it's gone. I've experienced that. Also, the breaking of a crystal, she talks about that. Basically, that means it's not of use anymore. One of the very first crystals I went into the store and purchased for myself at a metaphysical store. I was living in North Carolina at the time, and I was so proud of myself for going in because low key the store still spooked me a little bit, but I was drawn to it. This is very early in my practice. So I go into the store, I get it, and I got Moonstone, which I would say is very beginner friendly. I know some people say clear quartz and all that stuff. That's the Moonstone because I was really attracted to this stone. So I had it, and I remember I was dealing with serious cramping that day. And I got to the car, and I was like, I'm going to try it. This is early. I didn't cleanse or do anything charge. I just started using it. And call it placebo, but it seemed like it worked. It calmed down. Or me just focusing my energy on wanting to be healed. Maybe I subsided the pain. I don't know. But that is the crystal I have for Raw. Well, years later, more than a lot of years, I'll just say that. I remember I accidentally broke it. I didn't know at that time. I didn't think too hard about it being broken. I kept it and it was sharp on the side. And I'm like, oh, I don't, it felt special because I remember that crystal and I didn't want to get rid of it. But I think that was a message to me that that's what this author is saying. It's no longer needed. It's served its purpose once it breaks. So it's not like a bad omen. It just means it's done. You got what you needed to get. You repurpose broken crystals. It is good for crafting. I definitely can agree with that. I kept it a little piece is somewhere around it now, but I've kept that little sharp edge. It's that kind of came off because I just wanted to keep it. But yeah, it was time to retire the use of that crystal. Doesn't mean I have to throw it away. Like I could repurpose it for sure. But the way I had been using it, it was time to be done because I was putting them in my bras and everything at that point, at that time. It's too hot here in Arizona. Right, is original intention, exactly. But the disappearing one, when I went on my coven's retreat, we went to Sedona. Wonderful spiritual experience. We were staying in a multi-million dollar house. You want to talk about manifesting. Beautiful home, private, up in the mountains. Like I'm looking at the top of a tree. Where we're staying at the mountains, there was a vortex there. So we actually performed ritual outside, and it was like it was a very beautiful spiritual experience. So I purchased I there in Sedona. I went because you're in Sedona, right? There's so much witchy stuff and crystals. Hey Dylan, I was watching you on your secondary live. I don't even know what I don't know what you mean secondary live. There's two lives going. I don't even know what's happening. I'm thinking YouTube looks different. Are you saying there's two lives of me happening right now? Anyway, so I bought these crystals there. Yeah, there's two lives going. I don't even know. I don't have answers. I don't know why that is. I don't know. Where is it? Is it on my other channel? What in the world? I don't know. How is that even possible? But yeah, I bought these crystals. I'm gonna go on and look because I'm perplexed myself. I bought these crystals for all of us, including for myself, while we were at this shop there. And I'm like, oh, this is so awesome for me. And for us, we have these crystals. This is great. And I carefully packed everything. That crystal is gone. I cannot find that crystal. I've searched. This is since June, so summer solstice. I don't know where it is. I am thoroughly confused by it. And I have actually, at first, I kind of casually looked. Then I like really looked. I went in my car. I went through everything, the pockets of my clothes. Can't find it. I begged the fairies to help me. And I don't know if it's here. I don't know what happened. I know I did not leave it because I went through the house. Another set of eyes went through the house. Like I did not leave it at that house. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I don't I feel like it'll all come back at some point. I don't even see. I only see one line. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how that is. Oh well. But then she talks about cleansing crystals. And again, this is such a good book because I think she's hitting all the notes in the beginning that you're going to be concerned about as starting off into magic. She talks about moonlight cleansing, smoke cleansing, which I'm partial to, and even sound cleansing. A lot of people don't talk about that. So, an instrument like a bell, not only are they easy to use at a moment's notice, but they're good for witches like me. That's what she says, like her, when we're sensitive to smoke. Simply take your bell in hand and ring it around the crystals a few at a time. This will vibrate any icky energy. I sent you a screenshot on IG. Okay. Thank you. Let me see. I'm over here fighting for my life. Trying to understand what you talk about. Let me see. I don't even know. I'm not even. I scheduled it and I started it, and I don't know what YouTube does. Thank you though, because I was perplexed. I appreciate you, Dylan. So yeah, cleansing. And then she talks about cleansing yourself. I just like that was it. That's the section about crystals. It didn't go too crazy. I feel like you can get a lot, especially with people now in our TikTok world where you're not gonna spend a lot of time on these subjects. And I think in the past people kind of lamented over these different parts, and it kind of gets boring, and it also, even if it's not boring, it can sound very overwhelming. I love the way that she gives you the information without it being like that. For instance, okay, cleansing yourself. Speaking of cleansing, it's time to learn how to cleanse your own energy. She talks about dance. Now, she does say put on Taylor Swift or another artist of your choice and get rid of it. While you dance your heart away, your movements will shake off, you get to shake off any blah energy. If possible, try to do this for the length of one entire song. I agree with this. Then a shower, 100%. You have to shower to get physically clean, so why not make it an energetic cleanse? I agree. For those of us who maybe you don't have access to a bathtub, but you have to the shower, get a mesh bag if you want to do like spiritual baths and things like that. You can do an improvised version. This is what I do, especially when I know, like, as a in my coven, we're going to do some sort of ritual, and we're talking about spiritual baths. I will do this little, basically like a tea bag, essentially a mesh bag, and I'll put my herbs and things in it that we all agreed on. And I have a removable shower head, but so I basically put, like, kind of tie it so it just can pour over me. So I do that too. In a pinch, I have a foot bath, so I'll put that same little baggie of herbs, and I'll just put it in my foot bath because it's still, energetically working. So yeah, um, I like the idea of the shower. And then she says you can use smoke, of course, as well. But listen to this one. This is what I liked. Modern approaches. Your phone can collect all kinds of negative energy, especially since social media can be such a toxic thing and it's always near you. So, like it for so many of us, like it is for so many of us, it can put you in a bad mood. For this reason, I highly recommend cleansing your phone regularly. So, you can do this by ringing a bell around it like you would a crystal. So, the things I went over, or you can open up a playlist on your phone and put on a feel good song. Just leave it face down somewhere and let those happy vibrations take care of it. I like that. And then she gives you a magical journal prompt on this. Start by cleansing your phone every day for at least a week. When the week is up, come back to your magical journal. What differences did you notice, if at any at all? Perfect. Perfect. This is something I would say. Um, and then she talks about Mother Earth and things like that, right, Michelle? That's a great. I'm going to be following. I'm going to do this. This is why it's good sometimes to pick up a good beginner's book. This is actually a really good book. I like it, and she doesn't get caught, you don't get caught in the weeds of it. It's just right there. Um, then she breaks down like technicalities, like the pentacle, the pentagram. Um, I like that she's talking about this directional stuff. Last Thursday, I decided to use my mom's walk-in shower to take a bath. When I was done, I opened the drain, but it was not drained. But I had a plan if that was to occur. You mean one of those like walk-in baths, right? Um, if that's what you're talking about, I have always been curious about that. Like, if it fills up with water, but I guess you can't open it if it doesn't drain, right? I don't know. I always wondered about that. Um, then there's something here that she talks about, which I don't talk about enough, and I should talk. It gave me actually an idea about Mother Earth's help, right? This little section. It's not a big section, not a big section at all, but she says something kind of interesting, and I like it. She was talking about during her childhood, they had a family cat. Actually, the cat sadly passed away when she was editing this book, but this cat spent most of its days outside, so it's an outside cat. And some nights the cat didn't come home. So as a kid, she talked about how she was sick to her stomach, imagining all the horrible things that could have happened to this cat. um, just running worst case scenarios through her mind. If he got lost, if somebody hurt him, worse, did he get run over by a car? Like was going through it as a kid. And she said, back then I didn't practice magic like I do now, but as a born nature lover and then vegetarian, vegan now, I still held a deep reverence for Mother Earth. I felt our connection. Even though I couldn't explain it and would have probably sounded ridiculous trying to. I'm not sure how long he had been gone, but one time in my desperation, I went out to our backyard and asked Mother Earth, more specifically the trees, to safely bring him back to me. As if on cue, the wind rustled their leaves and he came running through the gate, crying out for me as if I had called him, except calling his name didn't usually work. But for some unknown reason, this had worked. And it had worked almost every time after that, too. I didn't dare question it. I just remained extremely grateful. When you need some extra help from Mother Earth, all you have to do is ask. I love that. Now, that she went out to trees. Okay, so if it's not trees for you, what is it? For some, it's a garden. For some, just the earth itself. Just if you're going to do something like that, try to be outside if possible. And I would try to put my feet on the bare feet on the earth, even if it's just your porch, even if it's just the threshold, because maybe, I don't know your situation. If it's just a threshold, just momentarily, just close your eyes. It doesn't have to be a big fanfare, and just like ask earth energy, right? Oh, thank you. This is an actual whole dress. Thanks. Thank you very much. I like this dress a lot. But yeah, asking that way. I know for me, I have a couple different things. I have a tree in front of my house, but if I go in front of the house, I'll feel like exposed for the neighbors. But I could pause because there's sometimes I have to walk in front of my house. I could pause and I could, ask my tree for some help for something. But I love this idea. I like this. She talks about white magic versus black magic and basically saying, like, get rid of this stuff, like this terminology, painting black magic in as evil. Let's not do that. She talks about witchcraft and gender. She does not spend a lot of time on it, but she gets right to the point, and I appreciate this. When someone says the word witch, you might automatically assume they're referring to a woman. Well, I'm here to tell you that people of all genders, because there are way more than just two, can call themselves a witch, not just women, and certainly not just cis women. When I said we all have magic within, I meant it. And she just goes on, be that safe space for every witch. I love this so much. And she didn't have to go into a whole preachy thing. She said what she said, and I think the point was made. And again, if I'm building a practice, this is perfect information. Um, and I love the magical journal prompt. In what ways can you be more inclusive in your everyday life? And how can you extend that to your magical practice? That's a great thing to think about. I like this. And then she goes into your witchcraft ethics, which she doesn't beat you up about it, but she does go into it. And I appreciate that. Before making magic, she gives you a checklist. Check in with your mind, make a plan, set the tone, prepare your altar, give yourself some peace of mind, and make sure you're feeling your magic. That's a big deal. Making sure you feel it. Spell work should never be daunting or stressful, and it certainly shouldn't feel like an obligation. If the idea of it doesn't make you happy or at the very least content, then walk away from your altar and come back later. Oh, I don't even know how to make it stop. Thank you, Empress Call. I don't know how to make it stop. I don't know where it's doing that. So I'm sorry for the confusion. I'm sorry. um, I don't know. I'll figure it out on the back end. I've been searching for them, but haven't found any others. Hopefully, it's only two. Hopefully, it's only two. I think we're having a fun time. Google is doing something right now. YouTube is doing something for sure. But I didn't do anything. I actually was proactive and set up the live and went to the scheduled live and started. So I don't know why this is happening. Then she talks about witchy labels, um, which is interesting because in the beginning, I remember reading in early on in my practice, which was Wiccan, but they talked about not having to identify yourself as any particular type of witch necessarily. You can just say I'm an eclectic witch. And that's what I called myself for many years because I knew once I was no longer Wiccan, I I just said I was just eclectic. I didn't have a term yet for me. And I was okay with that. I wasn't really focused on that. And that's fine. And she says that that's fine if you do, or if you don't, or if you feel called to something. Then she talked about the term baby witch. I think labels are useful. Don't put yourself in a box. Exactly. Some people don't like the word baby witch. Some people don't like that term. So she breaks that down here as well. Moral of the story: if it doesn't make you feel good, don't do it. If you don't like it, if you don't want to be referred to that, I am not I haven't adopted that term because I deal with grown women over when you get if you book a service with me or mentorship, I'm dealing with grown women. I'm not going to call you a baby witch unless you like that, and I can call you baby witch. But I don't think to say that. I just say you're new to witchcraft, or you're just getting into witchcraft, or you're just getting back into it. I just do the description of what you are versus the name. I don't like that. Okay, so that was part one. Part two, your intuition. Artwork is pretty fun in this book. It's not like I said, not a very big book, but she's hitting all the right notes. I prefer baby witch for literal babies and children. I know, right? I was eclectic witch until a favorite we encouraged me to look for my path. I'm glad you looked for your path. What's intuition? uh, Intuitive magic is a big part of my practice. So I kind of love that she talked about this um, in part two, right out the gate. Thinking about someone, and she says, these are some of the examples. Thinking about someone and getting a text call from them a few minutes later. I feel like this is happening now as I just got a text. I just got a message, a voicemail. Oh my gosh. Anyway, thinking about that, then canceling plans because something doesn't feel right. We've done that before, right? Um, you just something doesn't sit right. You're like, no, I'm just going to cancel. Buying a book because you can sense you're supposed to read it. I agree. Circling an answer on a test, not because you know it to be correct, but because something in you told you it is, and it ends up being right. Knowing that your partner is cheating on you. I love a modern book. And even though there are no typical signs, and then something or someone confirms it for you. Yeah. And she said, and that's just the beginning, but she's giving you modern examples. And I really love that she did that. The magical journal prompt: reflect on a time when you got in an intuitive hunch about something. What was it like? And I think that's a great question because that being able to ask that or answer that question gets you on the right frame of mind to believe in your work, to believe in the workings that you do. Green witch with a slice of hedge. There you go. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. They go here. Yeah, I can see that. Green witch with a slice of hedge. There's someone else, another Aries, by the way, I know, and I'm like, that is who they are, but I don't want to put labels on them because they're not ready for that yet. But I know that's what they are. um, anyway, but yeah, I love that she talks about intuition because it goes into divination. Because in order to trust those feelings or instinct initially, and then your intuitiveness, it makes it easier so that you can do divination because you'll trust the information you're able to decipher. Um, I love that. And there's divination ethics. Basically, don't read for people who didn't ask you to. Like, stay out of their business. How do y'all feel about people who do readings for like celebrities and stuff like that? I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, you're not hurting anybody, but like publicly you're talking about their lives. I think that's what she means by um, kind of crossing the line. I don't know. In a way, it is kind of crossing the line, especially if you are like a astrologer. Like this is what your trade is. This is what you do, or a tarot reader, or some sort of divination practice, and you're a professional, whatever that is. You do it for a living, and you do this for like celebrities and stuff like that. I don't know. Is that compromise? I don't know. Is that kind of crossing boundaries? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I see. I think it can be entertaining. I don't like it that much. It is crossing the line a bit for me. It feels like it definitely is, because if we're saying, and she's telling you to build your own ethics, she's not preaching to you in this book. I love that. She's just giving you the themes to go over and start to think about for yourself. But I do like, if trying to think of a good situation. One of my kids brought home um a partner, somebody, they're romantically in, and if they want them home, that means they must like them because they want me to meet them. So they're like, hey, like, I pull cards on my own to kind of check into the situation? Yes. Would I pull those cards on that person to dig up information and know more about their life? Only if there was something bugging me, like that. Usually if I just had this nagging feeling, yes, I might. Now, it would be crossing the line if I shared the information either with one of my children or the person that I did it for. I think that's muddy, but I'm trying to put myself in a situation where I would do this. That's what I'm trying to think. It would be for something like that. I don't know. I feel like it is crossing the boundary. Only if they ask. Yeah. Um, Very good section on tarot. Not overwhelming. She gives you what you need. Tarot misconceptions, what you would think it would be. You don't have to read using reverse cards, stuff like that. Then she goes into the tarot structure, telling you about the major arcana, the minor arcana. Next, the tarot meanings. I like what she says here. Um, I like where she said, if you can't basically interpret, then stand by your intuitive interpretation. You hold all the knowledge. So you're probably trying to tell yourself something only you can get. Okay. I don't like the YouTuber, and I don't know who that is, for the reason he's too reading celebrities and drama. Oh, I think I might know who you're talking about. I'm not attracted to stuff like that. I don't watch that type of content. And I think the reason is because I do think it's like, who are you to be telling us about the business? Yeah, a little bit. I think I might, yeah, I think maybe I do have a problem with it and I don't realize it. Um, but I'm thinking about this now. But the meanings, I like this. So, like the Fool, you're taking the first step on a grand new adventure. That's upright. That she gives you. You might be scared to start something. Put fear aside and take the leap. Take the leap. That's in reverse. So these are just short meanings. This is great. You could copy this, and it could be a way for you to learn. Again, this is a beginner's book. Can't state that enough. So this would have been great for me coming into it right now in 2024. If I was coming into it, this book would be great because I feel like she's giving decent information. Major arcana, same thing. She's doing quick meanings. Your first tarot reading, it's a whole thing to help with that. I love this. Let me tell you what she says you'll need: a purple candle and a holder, an amethyst crystal, a lighter or match, your deck, your magical journal, and a writing utensil. Now, obviously, if you did not have all these things, as she pointed out, you could just use an all purpose candle like color white. Um, and then she breaks it down. Let me see. For each of the three prompts below, hold your deck in between both your hands and ask your question. All right. So now that you know who I am, who are you? Describe yourself with one card. How could I best connect with you? If you could give me any piece of advice right now, what would it be? So this is what you were basically interviewing the cards. You have to go, oh, okay. You have a good day. Thanks for checking in. How you doing? And then she talks about a daily tarot practice. There's some spreads that she provides. She talks about oracle cards, an oracle spread to check in with yourself. Love this daily oracle card affirmation ritual. And then pendulums. Not enough people talk about pendulums. I realize I don't use them as much, but I should. I should. I like using pendulums. How to pick one. And it's like how to do your first pendulum session. I love this. This is good stuff in this book, taking it further with the pendulum. And then she talks about other divination methods. Again, you're not being beat over the head. By the way, bibliomancy, cloud gazing, and shufflemancy. I like that. Um, I really, and then she talked about intuitive struggles. Great section is for this as well. Great section for this. Um, Pep talk about ignoring doubters and stuff like that. Part three, cycles. So far we've gone through the very, very basics of witchcraft. She's gotten into, and this is only up to page 93, because we start on page 94 with part three. You're getting a lot of information in a small period of time. I like this. This is great. Then she explains about cycles. So the weekly cycle and then the seasonal cycles and stuff like that, and what the correspondence for this. So Sunday, the sun, Monday, the moon, Tuesday, Mars, and so forth. There's journal prompts for each of these sections that I think are, for the most part, relevant for a beginner. Then she breaks down each day of the week. So first it was a list, but then she gives you details. So she's telling you Sunday, nurturing your inner child. There's a magical prompt. There's a card pull. Then there's a spell that you use on a Sunday. So what better way to begin your week than with an easy breezy spell that sets you up for success? You need a piece of scrap paper, a writing utensil, and the sun. And it ends with a card spread. So this is great. This gets you on page 100. You're doing, I mean, you already had the divination practice before, but you're really getting in a nitty gritty of like the days of the week. This is great. You need a guide sometimes or something like that. She's not asking you to pull up too many wild things either. Speaking in the section of cycles, then she goes into, I really love this section, by the way. Like I like what she's doing here. Then she talks about the moon cycle. Again, she's not beating you over the head with too much information. She kind of jumps into it. New moon, waxing moon, full moon, waning moon. Okay. A thorough breakdown, including new moon manifestation, how you can do like a ritual here, and you still get a journal prompt. So there's a lot for you to work with this book. So this is technically an interactive book. It's small but mighty. And then the seasonal holiday cycle. Again, that's big to my practice. So I definitely kind of paid attention to this section a little bit more. Again, to the point, very helpful. She breaks down each one with a magical journal prompt, and you get a card spread as well, and a spell for each one. So, like for Yule, there's a spell for resilience. Love this. For Letha, spell to reaffirm your beach body. Wait a minute, let's get into this. Hold on. This spell isn't about magically obtaining a beach ready body, it's about accepting the fact that you already have one. Because everybody is a beach body. There's not a single thing you have to change about yourself before you put on your bathing suit and have some fun in the sun. So, what you'll need, your fave bathing suit, a full length mirror. We already see where she's going. So, before you head down to your local beach or swimming pool, put on your bathing suit. Next, find a full length mirror. As you look at your reflection, I want you to pretend as though you're looking at your best friend, because that's exactly what you're going to treat yourself like. And what do best friends do? Hype each other up. So you see what she's doing. I think this is sweet. Remember, this is for a beginner's guide to self-empowering witchcraft. So I think that's pretty, and that's brave for a lot of us to even do that. So yeah, you're getting stuff like that. I think it's good. And then the section on Mercury retrograde. Again, small section about this. She doesn't go into a big thing, but I like what she says. Let me see my note here about chaos. She said, I'll be the first to admit that sometimes chaos happens with literally no rhyme or reason. However, in my opinion, the chaos that happens during Mercury retrograde is usually the kind of chaos with a purpose. And I totally agree. It might, as we went through one recently, I kind of felt like for me, I was getting hit with all kinds of, where did you get your earrings? Oh, where did I get these earrings? I don't remember. I think I ordered them online. I don't, it might have been, I think it was Amazon. I'm almost positive it was Amazon now. Thank you. Um, but I felt like I was getting hit with all the things that could happen. I talked about this. I'm running an errand for a friend and it involves needing cash. And I stopped at an ATM and it ate the card and wouldn't let it out. And this was over the weekend. So it was just like crazy. I had to wait a full week to get the replacement card. Um, and I do think there was a lesson in that for me. Sometimes things are also happening for your protection. Um, I was using that particular debit card to that account for different purposes online. So I'm thinking now, hey, maybe I was kind of being saved from fraud or something like that, just based on a series of events. I had some other mishaps and things like that happen. So I think each thing was kind of helping me. There was a lesson in the chaos. So she's right about that. Then she talks about feeling overwhelmed by cycles. And I know some people do get overwhelmed. And I kind of like where you can incorporate them slowly. You don't have to incorporate them at all. You don't have to observe them at all. So if Letha doesn't resonate with you at all, the concept, but you just enjoy being out on a sunny day, and then go do that instead. You don't have to purchase. You don't have to participate with that if it doesn't resonate with you. She says you don't have to go all out for every part of every cycle. I agree. Sometimes it's just these shifts. Um, I'm trying to think. For me, I think Beltane is just a celebratory time. I just want to have fun and I like to go all out. But after that, over the summer, like it's just the vibe is different. I don't go all out. I don't want to. It's hotter. I want to chill. I like I'm in a chill space. But then by the time Mabon, Samhain, and all that comes along, I'm ready. I'm ready to do all the things again. So I think it's okay to do that. So it's not that it doesn't even resonate with me. It's just that I don't want to go all out. I don't want to do all the things. I just kind of just want to bask in whatever that day. But yeah, you don't have to go all out. And I like that she acknowledges that. Part four, more magic. So we are already 4 parts in. She talks about, she says there's always more magic. There's a journal prompt for that, but she's giving spells. A spell to banish your insecurities. I think this is a good one. Best performed on a Saturday full moon during Samhain. Obviously, you can make changes. What you'll need: your magical journal and a writing utensil. So you're going to be asking questions, answering her questions. And there's a spread as well, which is great. A spell to accept your flaws. I love stuff like this. Spell to mend your broken heart. Spell to stop doom scrolling. You'll need your phone, a small drawstring pouch or bag, and an amethyst crystal. A tea spell to calm the F down. I love that. Hi, gemstones. A spell to focus on what matters. A spell to own your amazingness, for self forgiveness, to be a lucky bee. Look at that. um, a simmer pot spell to be a happy witch. Well, I've got plenty of those myself. So she's saying orange slices. Oh, this is something I do. Okay, orange slices, 3 cinnamon sticks, whole cloves. I like that. It sounds like mine. Something I've actually just filmed recently for the other channel. Interesting. Coffee spell for anything you want. Um, and then I love this. So this is goodbye. And she's basically encouraging you to keep going, with your practice. Don't stop. And there's a journal prompt at the end of that as well. So this is make your own magic. I enjoyed reading it. And there's a section on creating your own spells. I think I skipped over that. Let me get to that. On page 206, I think I did. Yeah, creating your own spells. And it's a rough outline to help you with that, but I think this is good. I like a beginner's book that's helping you to think for yourself and think about what makes sense for you. For instance, this is what you start with. Why are you doing this spell? Do you want to manifest or banish something? When are you going to do your spell? Which tools will you use? Pre write an affirmation to include in your spell. Which action will you take along with your words? Once your spell is finished, draw an illustration of what it looks like. How did it go? Self reflect. So, these are just her recommendations and suggestions for creating your own spell, but make your own magic. Short, sweet. It all the entire book. There's no capitalization. Everything's in lowercase. I don't know what that's about. That is my only complaint about this book. I was fine, but sometimes as I was reading, it was like, wait, is that a comma or is that a period? Like, is this a one sentence? Because there's nothing capitalized. So I don't know. I don't know why people do the things they do. But anyway, like you see, I don't know if you can see from here. Everything is in lowercase. And it's not the end of the world. It's not bad. It's just it's hard sometimes as you're reading because I can't tell immediately what the heck if it's just one long run on sentence or not. But once I was able to establish that, I was fine. Great beginner's book. Now, for me, this is part of my library haul, so I won't be keeping this. And honestly, I wouldn't buy this. This is a good book for me to talk about. One to help me to connect with because I get something out of reading. I got something out of reading this. And again, it made me think about things that I thought I was okay with, or I thought wasn't a big deal, or wasn't that deep. But actually, it really was like the term "out of the broom closet" or "in the broom closet." Like I don't now that she's pointed it out, I don't know if I want to keep saying that. Um, yeah, so I like that. But I'm glad I got it as a library book as opposed to purchasing it. Like I said, I don't think it would make sense for me to purchase it, but this was a good one. But if you were looking for something um, to help you guide you a little bit and kind of, I don't know, go over all those themes, those basic themes and those other themes, she did a great job of hitting all those points without being judgy, without being long winded, and kind of you losing interest, or without in her acknowledging at each part about if you're overwhelmed or not, and what to do about that. I think that's great. That was smart and it's respectful of the reader. So this is a good book to add to your witchy cabinet, your witchy library, if you were looking for something decent in a beginner's realm. Also, you can take the information here and use it if you want to start a book of shadows. There's some great information here. Again, a description for the tarot cards, the days of the week, the correspondences to colors, and she's giving you the basics that you can definitely add to your own book of shadows. So if you wanted to. These are probably one of my favorites out of the groupings or the set of the Seasons of the Witch Oracle. I love Beltane. Beltane has been the contender, but I think this rivals it because the artwork is I love the artwork, and they've improved it because the print on each of the oracle cards is more understandable as far as if you're trying to read the cards. It's not cryptic like some of the other decks are. You can actually just look at the card, and you don't have to pull out the book with these cards. You can get a pretty significant meaning looking at it. Like paper boats, stay afloat and don't tilt too much. A lesson awaits you. Like depending on what you asked or the purpose of you doing the spread, that probably makes sense to you. You might not have to go to the book, but I like using the book with new cards. I like to get to know them. I want to know what was the intention behind it. What was the meaning when you made these cards and we set this up? Like, I like to get into the nitty gritty of it. One of the things that a project that I'm going to start for myself, I've already started for my tried and true. They're right here, Everyday Witch Tarot. Um, I'm not going to retire these cards, but I'm going to make room for another set of tarot cards soon. But as you can see, these are worn cards. These are like my professional deck that I use. So I set up my own just reference sheet for the meanings of the cards on what I get from them. And I can like, and I also use the book that it came with. Deborah Blake makes these cards. And I kind of set up my own version of those meanings, so just a little bit deeper, or what I was getting from looking at the cards. And I like having that out, especially when I'm working with others. I'll reference it. Sometimes I don't have to, but I just keep it open, that page open. And it's handwritten, my meanings. Sometimes I just like to cross reference, especially if I'm like, what is this trying to tell me? Like, if I have a set of cards next to each other and I'm like, what do we have going on here? Do you have Deborah Blake's New Oracle yet? No, the familiars. No, I don't. I don't know if I'm going to get that one. I love her and I like her stuff. And I'm currently using her Eclectic Witch Book of Shadows, the companion guide. And it's like part coloring book, at least that's how I'm using it. So right now I'm working with that book. I do that in my downtime to relax. I'll be watching TV Charmed because I'm still finishing that series. And I'll be coloring in that book. But I don't know if I'm going to get the familiar. It doesn't, I don't know. I don't know if that particular product is for me. But there was a purpose of me pulling off these cards, and I can't remember. Anyway, they're worn. I use them. I'm like, where am I going with this? I'm gonna start using another tarot deck. I know I wanted to say that soon, and use that as my sort of go-to. But oh yeah, the paper. I was gonna say, what was I talking about? So I created this notebook, which is somewhere around here. Let me see. Do I have it over here? I don't know where I have it. Anyway, so in the notebook, it basically I write down the meanings and all that. But I think I want to start doing that with my go-to cards. Like, it's the way for me. You know how once you put pen to paper, it makes it real. It makes it make sense to you. That's kind of how I feel about that. So I think maybe not for my oracle cards, but for my tarot cards, I think I'm going to set that up. That'll be a fun project to do as well. Like, each of the cards, I look at it and I kind of cross reference and I do my own meanings and keywords and stuff like that. And it kind of helps me get to know that deck. And I'm not just looking at it like, oh, Ten of Pentacles, it means this. It might mean that in this deck, but for something else, it's a different variation of the original meaning. Stuff like that, if that makes any sense. All right, so I think I'm going to end it here. Great book for beginners. I liked how short and sweet it was. It gave the right amount of information to me for a beginner without getting too overwhelming, but you definitely walk away with something substantial. I don't feel like it's the type of book where you uh you don't get lost in the weeds with it. And also, you can read it really quickly. You can go through it. I went through all of this rather quickly, actually. I read this book in about a day, pretty much, and pretty much most of the whole book in about a day. And I enjoyed reading it because it was easy to get through. And I verified, I pretty much thought everything she wrote in here was legit about beginning your practice. So, and again, I love these. These probably are my favorite out of all the decks. So I'm quite excited about this. And what else was I going to tell you? I usually have stuff around and I can't remember what it was. I wrote all the notes, but it was something else I was going to mention. I forgot what. Oh, I know. So about the lives. So it's funny because you said there's two lives going. I have a Discord. It's called A Safe Place for Witches. It's nothing to join. It's not a big deal. You just come over there. The whole purpose of A Safe Place for Witches. That's the name of the Discord. Safe Place for Witches, by the way. The whole purpose, link is in the description, is to build community. in community where you don't feel like, you're stuck, like you are not trapped with us or with other people. Like you can kind of come and go, you can lurk. Um, I just wanted to build community. I want a place that's kind of offline, even though technically you're online. In Discord, I can run lives like this. Like it's interactive. You can come on video and things like that. And I haven't done any other meetups or anything like that in a while. I think the last thing I did was around Samhain, where I'll call them like a Samhain party. And I'll be honest, it's not a large attendance. It varies at times. But I really would like to push that because I feel like right now, there's people you're working and for the longest part of my witchcraft, I worked solitaire. Uh, it is nice to have community. We are in a time right now where, at least here in the States, our government is going through whatever it's going through. And I do fear, and this is not like predictions and scary talk, it's just looking at the writing on the wall. I believe that rights are being pulled back, and there is a large growing force in this country who, unfortunately, as you can see, they're these, we'll just say these nationalists and people who just have these very conservative, I don't know when to say conservative, just wild ideas that, on how their world should be, their worldview, except they want to make it mine as well. And making it mine means I basically, I feel like I won't have as much freedom and freedom of religion. I think that's on the chopping. I think my actual freedoms as a Black person actually is in jeopardy over the next decade. I'm very concerned about that, staying in this country. And it's something I know I'm going to have to contend and come up with a final solution on. Am I staying in this country? Do I need to leave? I mean, I have a passport. I could be out. But, I don't want to leave my babies. I don't want to leave my kids. If my kids don't leave, that will make it really hard for me. Um, I question this. And will all my kids go? One might go. I don't know if the other one will. So I question this because I'm genuinely concerned. I'm not the type of person who thinks about, I feel like I can always find a way to make my future positive. Uh, but I'm also seeing things happening in this country, in this government, and and well, the government is just enacting, but the powers that be, who are the very top 1%, are really making things happen. And I'm just concerned on how that's gonna where it's all gonna land, and the reality for me and what that will look like. So I think we need community because I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to do it. I don't want to speak doom and gloom, but I mean, you guys are witnessing things. Roe v. Wade was a done deal. The women, the people who got that as a law in the of the land, they thought their work was done. Those people back then on college campuses, women's rights, like they thought it was done, and it's so they repealed it. Like I never thought that was something that was going to be revisited because I didn't think, why would it? We've already set the precedent, it's established, but here we are. We're seeing other things starting to happen. Uh, Affirmative action, things like that. We have one of these presidential candidates talking about civil rights being rolled back. He said it. Um, we have a populace that is very comfortable with children being murdered, um, just because it's not their children. It's these people over there. Um, I don't know. It just feels very glum and gloom, and I don't want to leave it like that. But I bring all this up because I just think that we need to be building community. It's not about me and just being close to me and being my friend there. I don't make any money off of Discord, by the way. I'm really just talking about setting up a place for community to hang out. But like with anything, what you put into it is what you get out of it. So if you show up to events, you might meet someone who's nearby. You and I might click, Um, it could be a bunch of us that all kind of click together. And that could be your safe place as a practitioner. That could be your safe place to talk about things, to talk about activism in a safe environment, you know. I'm just saying. So consider going there. The link again is in the description for you to join Safe Place for Witches on Discord and joining. And if you're already there, I want to roll out some things and hopefully I'll get a little bit more participation. It's free, everything's free. Let's start there. And just doing it for the sake of community because we need to connect. Witches all over, different backgrounds. It don't matter what kind of witchcraft you practice. If you don't even say you're a witch, but you just kind of feel spiritual and you're comfortable with things considered quote unquote witchcraft, come on through. You're welcome to. All right, so I'll stop here after I took us to this place. But the whole point is because I think we're going to need to build community. I think we're going to need that. I talked about a while ago bringing like a witchy pen pal situation. I don't have the kinks still worked out, but I'm still thinking about that. But I would start that through the Discord. I would start it there. For me, I'm comfortable doing it because I have a PO box. So I can get my PO box, and we would just write letters to each other and stuff like that, or a little card, affirmations, just things like that. It's kind of like the concept of happy mail. Happy, if you're in a planner community, call it happy mail. People send like stickers and stuff like that. Except witchy. It might be just a cute little spell or a cute little ritual, nothing too crazy. You're not writing out your personal life in a letter to each other because we're not releasing on each other. But it would be fun. So it would just be it would be a theme or something like that. I wouldn't just make it all willy-nilly. I would set a theme and then we would all communicate with each other. But yeah, let me know what you think about that. If that's something anybody is interested in doing, something like that. It could be email if that makes more sense. If you don't like posts like the actual mail, but I think the mail, it's always fun to get something in the mail, right? I would keep this group small. I don't know if I would make it public for that. Maybe it might be a small fee just because sometimes you can kind of get sometimes people who are not very serious, even if you say, okay, it's $2 or $5 a month, or I don't know, something small, something less than $5. I think people like that who might not take it seriously, they probably won't invest $2 or $5, something like that. I don't know. I'm thinking it out, but thanks, Michelle. I thought it would be nice, and it's an additional way of community, of building it. You have to be a little vulnerable. You're gonna have to trust people a little bit because they're gonna be sending you stuff, and you also want to be perceived right in a way that in a positive light. So be mindful of the things that you would send. But like I said, I'll work through the kinks. I'm still thinking it out. I talked about it a couple months ago, but the thought never left. And I think now specifically we may want to start that as practitioners and witches. You might want to start building it. And when I mean community, I mean just being present amongst other witches. Maybe you speak up, maybe you say something, or you're just on the meetup. If we do a meetup, you're just there. And just being aware that other witches exist. This one's in this part of the country. This one's not even in your country. And, we're all communicating and just being present for that. That's a great first step. And then who knows where we could go from there? Or who knows what kind of changes we can make and, what kind of force we could be as witches. Just something to think about. All right, so I'll stop here. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for watching. Do the whole YouTube stuff, please. It does help. Like this video, please. Subscribe if you have not already, and if you would like to. Consider hitting the join button to join Leap Taken membership here. That's a whole other animal. That is basically like a Patreon here. There are perks. They get member-only videos, by the way. And you support the channel, and you get a 40% discount, standing discount for everything over at leaptaken.com. Check out the services that I offer at leaptaken.com as well if you are interested. And I appreciate everybody, and I hope everybody enjoys their weekend. Be safe, do your magic, live your magical lifestyle, because that's something you can control, right? All right, I'm done. All right, bye.